welcome back to the Hydro podcast, from innovation to implementation. In our last episode, we spoke with our project coordinator, Alkis from CERT, about the vision of Hydro, giving hydropower plants a much-needed digital nervous system. We also talked about why hydropower plants need a 21st century upgrade to face climate change and modern energy demands. But today, we are getting into the how. How do you actually digitize a massive concrete dam or a spinning turbine? To answer that, we've brought you the experts who are building this digital nervous system piece by piece. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by our partners from the Hydro Consortium, Acceligence, MAS, and A2A. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, I'm Stelios. I'm a senior project manager and developer at Acceligence, which is a company that focuses on developing technological solutions on UAVs, robotics, and computing.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tommaso, and I'm Hydro Support Specialist in MAS. MAS is an Italian company based in Lecco, specialized in consulting and software development, supporting companies that operate in the energy sector.
Hi, I'm Nicola, Portfolio Management Specialist in A2A, that is an Italian multi-service company which operates in the sectors of the environment, energy, heat, networks, and technologies for smart cities. It is active in the production, distribution, and sale of electricity, gas, waste management, in environmental services, and in development of products and services for energy efficiency, the circular economy, electric mobility, and smart cities. It is based in the Lombard cities of Milan and Brescia.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here to talk about the work in Hydro. Let's start at the very foundation of this digital transformation. Stelios, Acceligence is leading the work on digital twins for the project. Let's begin with the basics. Digital twin is a huge buzzword in tech right now. For our listeners who might be picturing a sci-fi hologram of a dam, what exactly is a digital twin in the context of a hydropower plant?
You're definitely right. Digital twin is one of the biggest buzzwords in the industry right now. But underneath all that hype, it's actually an incredibly powerful tool. A digital twin is exactly what it sounds like, a highly detailed real-time virtual replica of a physical hydropower plant. It doesn't necessarily focus on the appearance of the hydropower plant, but on its functionality. Having this exact replica unlocks some important advantages that you just can't get by looking at the traditional spreadsheets or standard control panels. For example, predictive maintenance. Instead of waiting for a car to break, which is expensive and may cause service disruptions, the digital twin can use AI models to analyze sensor data and predict that, for example, based on this vibration pattern, turbine 3 is going to fail in about 45 days. This gives you enough time to replace or repair it without outages. You can do risk-free testing. You can test extreme scenarios without endangering the actual facility. An operator can ask the digital twin, what happens if we open the floodgates 20% wider while running the turbines at maximum capacity during a summer heat wave? The digital twin simulates the physics, stress, and output perfectly, letting you see the result without having to risk damaging the infrastructure or affecting the power output. Performance optimization. The digital twin can run a multitude of simulations to find possible efficiency gains. So in short, it takes the guesswork out of running the plant. You go from reacting to problems as they happen to predicting and optimizing the plant's operation for any eventuality.
That was clarifying indeed. Thank you for the thorough and detailed answer. I feel I better grasp the concept of a digital twin application in hydropower. Creating a digital twin of the hydropower plant allows operators to virtually try out specific conditions and see how the infrastructure will respond to those conditions. Very useful indeed. I have another question now. How do you actually go about creating this virtual replica? What kind of data are you pulling from the physical plant to make this twin come alive and accurately mirror reality in real time?
To create a digital twin of the hydropower plant, first we need detailed information about all the main systems of the hydropower plant that will be included in the digital twin simulation. We need plant schematics, component lists, and specifications, electromechanical diagrams, and even historical operational logs. Practically any available information about the plant's construction and operation is potentially useful. For example, we need detailed information about water levels in the reservoir, flow rates through the gates, pressures through the pipes, temperature readings from the turbine, voltage, current, and frequency of the generator output, etc. All this data is used to construct a model in a simulation software that encompasses all the main systems of the hydropower plant and can produce accurate operational predictions based on the selected simulation parameters.
Very interesting. It takes a considerable amount of information and collaboration to create a digital twin. Thank you, Stelios, for helping us understand what a digital twin in the context of hydropower is.
Thank you for inviting me here today.
So, thanks to Acceligence, we now have a living, breathing replica of the plant generating mountains of data. But raw data isn't very useful unless you know what to do with it. That's where MAS comes in. Tommaso, can you explain how your platform acts as the brain of this operation, connecting with the digital twin we just talked about?
Well, the digital decision-making platform is designed to provide the optimal production schedule of the hydroelectric power plants. The effectiveness of the platform is guaranteed by two main factors. The first is that the platform can store and manage all the relevant data from the HPP management, such as forecast of prices, forecast of water inflows, and maintenance schedule. The second one is that the platform does not optimize the HPP as standalone, but aggregates the plants in cascade system according to the physical morphology of the water catchment. In addition, according to the Hydro project, the platform integrates the maintenance schedules and water inflows elaborated by different digital twins developed by the other partners, therefore taking advantage of the most reliable informations.
That makes perfect sense. It's one thing to have a flood of data, but having a system that actively interprets it and acts as a translator changes everything. It really takes the guesswork out of the equation for the operators, which leads me to my next question. How does the platform actually help the human operators running the power plant? Can you give us a concrete example of a specific recommendation or alert the platform might generate to prevent a breakdown or save resources?
Absolutely. For example, the platform can use the information about the expected water inflows and maintenance to optimally distribute the water use to minimize the water waste when the machine cannot operate. Moreover, the platform optimizes the production over the maximum remunerative hours by distributing the water inflows. For instance, if the machine cannot operate, the water must be stored in the reservoir without the possibility to release. There is a chance that the water level exceeds the maximum height, therefore requiring a spillover. That's indeed a waste of energy. The role of the platform is to provide the operator an optimal production plan that avoids spillovers as much as possible.
That is awesome. So you can actually catch an issue before a machine breaks down. That is exactly the kind of resilience and cost saving we are aiming for in Hydro. Thank you, Tommaso and Mas, for the illuminating answers.
Thank you for the questions.
It is fascinating to hear how these tools are built. But to understand their true value, we need to look at the people actually using them. Nicola, A2A as hydropower plant manager, is the partner who has the boots on the ground. Before we even introduce these new technologies, my question for you, Nicola, is what are the biggest day-to-day operation and maintenance challenges you currently face that make digital tools like these so necessary?
When it comes to operations, there are many facets. As part of the Hydro project, A2A is committed to improving the bidding and dispatching process for its programmable hydroelectric plants. One of the most important decisions to be made daily is undoubtedly how to schedule the electricity generation of these plants on timescales ranging from day ahead to week ahead to monthly and finally to year ahead. To do this, two of the main drivers are the amount of water expected to reach the reservoirs, both daily and seasonal, and the maintenance plan. So water quantity and turbine unavailability must then be entered into an algorithm that must optimize the dispatching of the entire hydroelectric plant over the timescales. As you can imagine, estimating water flows and the optimization derived from the algorithm are indeed very delicate and crucial issues. It is precisely in this area that the need for increasingly sophisticated and reliable digital tools arises.
I can only imagine how complex it is to manage all those variables, especially with aging infrastructure and changing weather patterns. It really highlights why these digital upgrades aren't just a luxury, but a necessity to keep the lights on and optimize the output of the infrastructure. So, looking ahead, when you integrate the digital twin from Acceligence and the decision-making platform from MAS into your daily operations, what changes for you? How will these tools specifically improve the plant's energy output, sustainability, and overall lifespan?
Having a digital twin that simulates the plant's optimal behavior across various timescales means being able to make advanced decisions that positively impact energy production and water management in reservoirs. For example, you can decide to run turbines at maximum efficiency, optimizing energy production while using as little water as possible and minimizing downtimes. Another example, before a flood event, you can decide to empty the daily reservoir to accommodate the water flow without having to divert it, and thus stress the riverbeds downstream of the dam. Furthermore, by better estimating the amount of incoming water, you can optimize the economic margin of energy production.
That is the ultimate goal right there. More clean energy, less downtime, and a longer, more sustainable life for the plant itself. It really brings the whole project full circle. Thank you, Nicola, for the detailed answers and for your insight.
Thank you for having me here today.
What an insightful sneak peek under the hood of the dHydro project. It is remarkable to witness how a digital replica and a smart data platform translate directly into real-world clean energy efficiency. A huge thanks to Stelios, Tommaso, and Nicola from Acceligence, MAS, and A2A for joining us today and making these complex technologies so accessible and understandable for all of us. In our next episode, we will continue exploring how dHydro is pushing the boundaries of renewable energy. If you liked today's episode, follow the series, leave us a comment or a review, and visit our website in the description to learn more about the project and our partners. Until then, stay curious, stay powered up, and keep the current